like the Knicks Sixers series, you don't like NBA basketball. I mean, that was unbelievable. Rhino, I got a stat for you. 6 games. All right? 6-game series. After the third quarter tonight, the Knicks had outscored the Sixers in the entire series, 23 quarters by 2 points. They end up outscoring Philadelphia in the 6-game series by 5 points, and they win the series 4-2. You really can't have anything closer than that.
No. This thing was down to every possession. Grant, both teams surrendered a double-digit lead tonight. I mean, it was just such great play between them, and it's exactly what you want if you're the NBA and an NBA fan.
How about the Knicks bouncing back and getting off the mat after what happened in Game 5? That really tells me something. To go on the road, have a blow the lead.
It's huge, Grant. And that was the big question, because even if they lost tonight, it would have been, how do you lose? Does it carry over? And the fact that they handled business, that tells me that they are in this for the long haul. I think there are bright things ahead with the Knicks in the future, and a big contrasting style when they meet up with the Pacers here in a couple of days. I am going to take Grant down for the moment. We're having some tech issues. Welcome into Open Forum Thursday. We'll try to get those worked out right now. Napes will be back. What'd you guys think of that one? That was about as good as it gets for first-round basketball. To me, that was a complete throwback to the 90s. What's up, Walt? Welcome in. Yeah, Sixers. You know what's funny? Sixers owner buys 2,000 tickets to this thing, so the New York fans can't eat it up, and it felt like a New York Knicks home game, but it was a great atmosphere. There was much to be desired if you are a 76ers fan, but great effort by both teams. How about the New York Knicks? I know Grant was trying to say that there, but they run a 7-man rotation. And when they need somebody to step up, talk about the Villanova connection between Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, and then also Brunson. They had a assist play that was absolutely beautiful. Josh Hart hits a massive 3, no hesitation, which keeps the Knicks in there. But as Grant said, the mental toughness to come into this building in a very hostile environment, a rivalry game, the battle for I-95. The Knicks take it, and they are moving on. Harris with the L and the goose egg on the point guard. Tobias catching sub. Now, the Knicks, check this out in this game. I said it at the top. Both teams surrendered. Double-digit leads. However, the Knicks end up pulling it back, but this was a game of runs. This was a series of runs. Grant made such a good point about how closely contested this series has been, but the Knicks, get this stat. If I told you the Knicks were outscored tonight on the bench, you guys ready for this? It's pretty dramatic. The Knicks were outscored bench points 42-5 tonight. But Grant and I were talking before we came on the air, and he said this time of year, it's a little bit different. You get longer timeouts, you get longer breaks in between games. And that 7-man rotation running right now for the Knicks is looking damn good, headed by Jalen Brunson. Philly goes home. Philly gave pretty much all they could. Embiid, what can you say? And Tyrese Maxey. How about the shot making from Tyrese Maxey? The playoffs have shown us a couple things: defense and shot making, and especially in this series, pretty damn special. So give us your thoughts on this one. Also, the Milwaukee Bucks going fishing. Milwaukee done for the season. Not a big surprise as we expected due to injuries, but second year in a row. I wish Fox took the Brunson approach in the fourth quarter. Man, Brunson is so good. It's funny that you say that, Jerm. And the reason that I say it's funny is this. He's a threat either way. Did you see towards the middle half of the fourth quarter, Brunson, he was being a threat to go off the pick and roll, a threat to drive. Did you see Buddy Hield, the way he was playing him off of the three-point line? And I think maybe that's one of those separators, because even when De'Aaron Fox is humming. He's hitting that three ball. He's not always that double-edged threat that night to go to the hoop. So it's a good point. You do see some of that there. You have to tip your cap to the Knicks, no doubt, Alberto. I've got the Knicks in the NBA Finals this year. We'll see. Interested to see what Grant says. Yeah, right? Didn't it feel like that? It sure did. I was waiting for Jeff Van Gundy to run onto the court and hug somebody's leg. Halliburton, you remember him, right? Sure, bad news. What up, bad news? Yeah, I remember Halliburton. He's pretty good, but he's not the story of this run to me for the Pacers. The story to me is actually Evan Turner. Evan Turner's game has stepped up. The leadership role he's taken, it's like he's growing in front of our eyes in the playoffs. Pretty damn cool. Are the A's surprising you? Jesus, nothing the A's do surprise me. Nothing. Patrick, how you feeling, buddy? Your team headed to the next round of the playoffs. He did. OG was special. How about that dunk? I mean, there were so many statement games, or statement plays in this game tonight that I really loved. But I love it. A's on a roll. Yes, they are. You can't tell me it doesn't burn to have Hal move on to second round. No, it doesn't. I don't know why we're still having this conversation. You guys have a guy that broke the double-double record this season. You've got a guy who's been here 2.5 years and taken to the playoffs once. I'm not worried about what Hallie's doing. I'm happy for Hallie's success, but it doesn't sting whatsoever. Yeah, we will see if I'm right or not. What happened to the Bucks? Injuries, Alberto. Injuries. I mean, is Giannis not approaching? Let's be honest about this. And we're hoping to get Grant back here in a second, having some tech issues. Giannis is slowly approaching the Kawhi Leonard territory, right? I don't know, Joel Embiid, even though he played this playoffs, I just don't. 2 years in a row, and to have Mike Budenholzer fired for last year's exit, I think there's something more. Milwaukee made a huge mistake. If nothing else, you want to talk about the biggest mistake the Bucks made this year, that's Drew Holiday. That was not a great move, and it certainly made Boston better. Turner is great. He's coming into his own. Who do you think's better, Tobias Harris or Harrison Barnes? Different players. If you had to ask me individually, if they played on one-on-one, I would probably say Tobias Harris. But if I've got to start a team or bring one of those two on to be a glue part, you know what? I'm going to bring on Harrison Barnes. I don't care what any of you say. And by the way, the narrative for Harrison would be so much different in this city had Harrison made that 3 in the Warriors series. We know that. Will this be Doc's last head coaching job of the Bucks or of the Bucks next season if they lose early, Condog? I don't know. I don't think so. I think Doc gets a little bit of a longer leash there. Certainly a longer leash than Mike Budenholzer got when Giannis got hurt. Bad news hopping back in. Sabonis is solid, no doubt, but he's the ultimate close to no cigar. Sure, I get that. He's not. That's a fair point. And if you're talking about flashy, I think that's what you're talking about, and that's where I'll agree with you. He's not that flashy superstar, but he fits perfectly for a city like Sacramento. Any different, hardworking, always on the court. It's a piece to build around. I mean, if you look at the Kings pieces right now and you say, well, what can we do around this player? What can we do around that player? Well, I don't think we could do this around this guy. You could do anything around Sabonis. And I don't even think that you've unlocked Sabonis yet in Sacramento. If Sacramento can get that spread center, the guy that can space the floor, Isaiah Hartenstein, it would be a different story. I think you would see a whole another Domas. Doc must be fired. Damn, bad news. You do got some bad news, and you're negative. Sour grapes. All right, I see you. Alberto hopping back in. If the Bucks blow it up, I wouldn't mind seeing Lillard on the Kings. Not at that salary. I don't disagree, but not at that salary. And you got to worry about him staying on the floor. Nah, Harrison, very inconsistent on defense and offense. Let's see. Tobias, not the Barnes 6 years ago. I don't think Harrison's inconsistent on defense and offense. I think that I think there's more to that story that needs to be written before we can make that judgment on Harrison, but it is a fair point. What's up, Cody? How you doing tonight? How does the Seahawks offense change with new OC Ryan Grubb calling the plays? I don't know. I don't, Cody. It's certainly going to be different from years past where it's really centered around the run game. Whether you have Marshawn Lynch or not, the Seahawks like to have that power back. They like to have that quick back. I would like to see the offense open up more. This offense in Seattle, even when Russ was there, it was never fully open for business. And Russell, absolutely, by the way, Russell has probably the best, softest deep ball in the NBA or in the NBA, in the NFL. Russ just drops it in there. Now, can he do that now? Debatable, but Cody, would like to see that offense open up, go more spread. You got Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf can play fast. So we'll see what they do. I still think that team's going to be centered around defense and field position. Germ, what's up? You think a potential trade for Bam Adebayo would help the Kings? Sabonis at the 5, Bam at the 4. That would fix and Bam connection. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna. I don't think it's really a great fit, to be honest with you. I mean, it's one of the better fits out of the options available, but I just don't see the Kings going that way. I think that they have a certain type of player that they are targeting, and I know Bam can do a lot of that stuff, but then I don't know if Bam, the physicalness, it's debatable. It's debatable. Not a bad point. Yes, they cannot afford Lillard. I see you guys putting that in there. Love the chats. Welcome to Open Forum Thursday. The Knicks end the series, knocking off Philadelphia. Did you guys think that it was a home game for New York again, even though the owner bought all those tickets? 2,000? And what the hell happened to Philly fan? How is there 2,000 available tickets for a playoff game, especially a playoff game of this caliber? Does not make sense to me. You don't mind Giannis in the Kings uniform. I don't think anybody would mind Giannis in the Kings uniform. Love your show. Thank you very much. No Bam, Sour Grapes has spoken. Exactly right. That's why I was saying I don't think he's really that great fit. If the Knicks got a Villanova Wildcat connection, then I want a full Kentucky Wildcat connection. Well, which Wildcats are you talking about? Number one. Number two, yes, they do boo Santa. Number two, I don't know that you want a full Kentucky connection. We've got one good Kentucky piece and another the Kings hope to re-sign. But haven't we had our fair share of Kentucky here in Sacramento? I mean, I'll leave it to you. Well, Grant's having some tech issues. He's trying to get back on. He was here at the start of the show. So we're going to see if we can get him back up and running. He must have the Jerry Reynolds plan going for his IT support right now. Yeah, Philly fan, that's what's so confusing to me, right? I almost want to call Philly fan a fraud. How do you not? Here's why. They're the ones, like you said, they're throwing stuff, right? They boo Santa. They throw batteries at Shawn Michaels in the early 2000s. They grease up. The police in Philadelphia have to grease up the poles in the city if they think there's going to be a parade. So people won't climb them, and they still do. They have dollar hot dog night, dollar beer night, canceled at the park. You know why? Because Philly fan couldn't put the stuff in their stomach. They put it on the field instead. Yet, you can't buy a ticket to a playoff game? Playoffs? What are we talking about here? Playoffs? I mean, can you imagine a Sacramento playoff series where there would be 2,000 tickets available? And Philly fan thinks they're the gold standard of fans. No, get out of here, man. Fair weather Philly fans. That's what we should call them. Fair weather Philly fans. And did you see they're all sour because the Knicks fans are taking over our building? Did you see all that stuff? I mean, come on. Do better. Do better. Hey, appreciate that. Thank you very much, Dave. Love having you on as always. Germ hopping back in the conversation. Don't know if you said it already or not, but who do you think is better, Fox or Brunson? I have not made that determination. It's a great question because they're completely different players. They couldn't be more different, in my opinion. Let me think about that. I will come back to it. Read LOL. Yeah, Jim Mora. That's right. If you tune in sometimes to the Kings Court bad news, because I run the Kings Court here on If You Don't Like That. We've got the podcast, and then also we got the live show Monday through Friday right here, 2 p.m., your place for Sacramento sports before your drive home. So join us for that. We've got a lot of sound drops. I could blow you away, bad news.
Golf course
Don't
looks good. My golf swing field looks good. I like my chance.
I'm telling you, bad news. I could have some fun here. A lot of fun.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
You lose, Philly fan. Good day. 80 is softer than Cottonelle. Yeah, well, buying toilet paper that's soft, pretty damn important, I would say, right? Pretty damn important. Let's see. We've got another one. It's a tie. All right. Yeah, I'm kind of hesitant to answer that one. Subscribe and watch when not working. All right, fair enough. All right, so you guys can call the show. I got the link up there at the top. Hit that. We're hoping to get Grant back here. If he can get the internet situation figured out, having some issues at the condo in Miami with the building and everything. So he's working through that. Hopefully we can get him back here in a few minutes. But in the meantime, hit that link. You don't have to be on camera. You can come up, phone call. We can talk about whatever you want, y'all. We can talk about tonight, basketball that you saw, the next round of the playoffs. We can talk about the Clippers. What the hell was that against Dallas? Which of those two teams do you think is better suited to go forward in the playoffs? I have my answer. If you want to talk about the Eastern side that we haven't hit on, we can do that. You guys got NFL, MLB, whatever it may be. We are here for open forum. So Tyrese Maxey, he has taken a step this postseason, most improved player in the NBA. But some of the playmaking this guy has made has been incredible. And I think the one thing that we can all agree on as Sacramento Kings fans, or at least I agree on, is the Kings don't have the playmaking that some of these teams do. They just don't. One-on-one, it's not there. You got Fox that can do it. You had Monk that could do it. Davion showed a propensity to do it a little bit towards the end of the season, and Davion finished strong. I was really proud of what he did. And by the way, the Kings front office and scouting staff getting ready to head to Chicago for the scouting combine. Look at the prospects. The Kings right now, what are they going to do with 13? Can they move up? We'll see. Where do you guys think the Kings should go with that draft pick? I don't need names. Give me positions. What positions are you looking at? We've got the obvious, the stretch five. Here's one of the things that I thought was very important, super important to the Kings formula. And I think it's really important to Monty McNair's formula. It's looking for guys that have been in college for 4 years. It's guys that when they get to the NBA, sure, there's an adjustment period, but the game ends up slowing down a little bit quicker for them versus your one and dones, etc. And you look at the Kings who have been successful. Keegan Murray, guy that stayed in college. Keon Ellis, guy that stayed in college, and Keon was not drafted. I could keep going on, but it makes a difference. And let's be honest, the Kings need somebody that they can plug and play this year. On the Kings court 2 days ago, we talked about Jalen Slauson. For those that don't know that name, yeah, we need a stretch. We know that. That is for sure. Thought Mike McDonald would bring over some good Ravens free agent. Surprising. Now so you know what's funny about that, Cody? Great defensive coach, right? But I didn't hear a ton. You know how some of the coordinators get pigeonholed into coordinator, like they're not going to be a good head coach? I've heard some people kind of make that suggestion about him. I'm not ready to put that judgment on him, but I was a little surprised that there wasn't more done to make that team his, if that makes any sense. But getting back to what I was saying about Jalen Slauson. So I cover the Stockton Kings. And this season, one of the biggest story I covered was the player development that was going on between Stockton and Sacramento, and them not just throwing guys out in the G League and saying, hey, impress us to get on the court, right? It was more, hey, show us the situations. We're going to put you in those situations that you may see in the NBA if you get called up. And Jalen Slauson, out of the group that's in Stockton right now, here's what I'll say. If you look for the Kings to improve internally this year, I'm not expecting Jalen to have a jump like Keon Ellis had, but I would certainly have Jalen on Keon's hip. And here's why. It's because Keon's been through this process. Jalen is the most athletic prospect in the King system. His explosiveness is NBA ready right now. His playmaking at times, NBA ready, but the turnovers, the 3-point shooting, those things need to improve. And that comes with time, right? Jalen's a second round pick. But if I'm looking at Summer League this year, if I am looking at really the California Classic, anytime that team's going to be out there, and I hope to be in Vegas for Summer League, this summer should be about Jalen Slauson, because I think he could be the dark horse to really come in and maybe be that bump for this team. Not come in and be a star, play 20 minutes, 30 minutes a game, but come in and be that guy when things aren't going great. Mike Brown can turn to him. If somebody goes down with an injury, Mike Brown doesn't feel, any type of hesitancy to put him in. So what I'm saying, pay attention to Jalen Slauson. I profiled him actually, as I said, a couple days ago, and I put up some videos that I took from the game. So I can do that again for some of the other players. He is not, as of now, that I know of. And for the Kings, here's the situation with their coaching staff. Luke Laux is going to move up to front bench, and then Mike Brown didn't confirm, but he hinted at Doug Christie likely being the choice to coach the Summer League team this year. So what do you guys think about that? Could Jordy take somebody? Certainly. Could he go after Malik Monk? Absolutely. Not enough people are talking about that, actually. And I've heard nothing of the sort, but you got to look at the available cap room for most teams. Remember, the new CBA is going into effect this year, the new operating year when this season ends. And it changes a lot for the teams in terms of really what it's trying to stop is having super teams. And the way they're doing that is if you get a super team, you decide to do that, you're going to lose your mid-level exception. And that's if you go into the second apron of the penalties. But with that CBA becomes a whole different changing NBA, and it really becomes player development. But going back to the point I was making about Brooklyn is one of those teams. They're not as positioned well as San Antonio, Orlando, Detroit, Charlotte, but they certainly could make a run. And another team to watch out for, Oklahoma City. They've got some contracts coming up in the future. So I'm not sure if they want to bring Malik Monk on at the number that he may want. And he certainly probably would not be starting in Oklahoma City. So I would say, Jordy, watch out. The Knicks, or I should say the Nets, have some room to maneuver. All right, we're bringing up Condog, second time today. He's going back to back. What's up, my man?
Oh, just decided to, stop on by,
Appreciate it.
Might as well, since, I'm here. And one thing I want to talk about is sport I actually just got into this year. Mm-hmm. I was very impressed by it, was the women's college volleyball this year.
Interesting. How'd you get into that?
Start of the year, I saw this, post the Nebraska's girls volleyball team. They actually filled out the stadium, the football stadium, 93,000. They filled it up, and then I started, I'd watch a game here and there, and very impressed. Fantastic play out there. And it's very actually similar to basketball in a lot of ways. There's coaches' challenges, replays, timeouts, very, very similar stuff in there. And actually, Jermaine O'Neal's daughter, Aisha O'Neal, was actually playing, and he was at some of the games for University of Texas.
Sweet.
And I showed some of my friends, and they said, I think one of the funniest quotes ever. He's like, "Block after block, just like her dad."
That's funny. Yeah, you know what? Those girls are athletic. I mean, any
Yeah.
of the female athletes, I actually, a lot of people don't know this. I don't know if I've said this on air. After, because of injuries, I couldn't run with the guys anymore at San Diego State. I went and practiced with the girls. So many of the girls teams around the nation, they bring in scout teams that are filled
Oh,
with guys that could borderline walk on somewhere, might be part of the men's program. But yeah, they get some good work in, Condog. And volleyball, that ain't an easy game.
No, and honestly, they don't even choke. Like so they run like a similar to March Madness. Their Final Four was 3 number 1 seeds and the defending champion. Great matchups.
Sweet. Well,
That-
we'll
they
have to
come
go
to
check
play.
that out. All right. Well, you know what? Let's talk about this a little bit more on the King's Court. I'll do some women's volleyball research. I like it. All right,
Yeah,
dude.
honestly, guys at home, look up the highlights from this year. You'll be impressed.
All right, you got it from Condog right there. Look up the female volleyball highlights. Nebraska, I do want to see that. Anything on the game tonight, buddy?
Honestly, yeah, I would be so disappointed in Tobias Harris if I'm a Sixers fan. I mean, he got that massive contract years ago, and to essentially just be a basic role player, like he's probably the most expensive third, fourth option guy, fifth option guy, and he laid a goose egg in your most important game today.
Yeah, and he was, but you can't put it all on him, the overpaid thing, because he was signed at a time where these dudes were being
even Timothy Mozgov was getting,
Yes, exactly. But yeah, I mean, you don't get the bang for your buck, certainly. I mean, where do you go if you're the Sixers now? You know, James Harden last year says, I don't think I can win a championship with this group. You've got Maxey, who's an up-and-coming star. I mean,
Maxey was a great find. Yeah.
He's closer to De'Aaron Fox than you think with the quickness. I mean, he gets to the rim and he's a little bit smaller than Foxy too. But Embiid, does he stick around? I mean, what does Philly do? Daryl Morey, he's going to have his hands full. We'll see in the offseason.
Yeah, again, and they've been through a lot of coaches in this regime, a lot of different players. It's all been a lot of finger pointing at this coach or this player, and Embiid's always hurt when they need him most, and
so is Giannis.
Yeah,
Giannis is fastly approaching that group, like really close. He's on their tail.
Honestly, both of those careers, I've mainly Embiid. I think they're just very underwhelming, considering Embiid hasn't even seen a conference finals, and Giannis has only been in 1 finals.
Yeah, sure, but you also got to think about how many games Embiid's missed. I mean, Embiid's missed a lot of basketball. Now, Giannis, it seems to happen in the postseason, or at least the last 2 postseasons. And I don't know what they do different. I mean, we're not really ones to talk. Sacramento got the injury bug this year. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how things get shaken up in the offseason there. Hey, Condog, thanks for the call, brother.
Night, everybody.
Good. How was that Costco pizza, by the way?
Pretty good. I mean, actually, I work at well, I don't work at the store. I work at the distribution center in Tracy.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Love it. I'm gonna have to hit you up one of these days. Why can't I get out of that place under $100? Why? It's impossible.
Oh no, it's designed to make you buy and feed on the samples. And but I'll also remember there's stuff you're buying that are double packs or triple packs or whatever.
No, I totally get it. Yeah. I'm just saying, even if you don't go there hungry, you still end up buying way too much. But hey, thanks, dude. Appreciate
you want to know how big our distribution center's territory is?
Huh?
We serve every Costco from as south as Visalia, Hanford. We cover all of the ones all the way up to to Sacramento. We even hit Reno and Sparks, and we even have Eureka.
Nice.
Everything that goes to those Costco's goes through Tracy, California.
So you are touching everything that goes out to Costco.
Yeah, Northern California is run by me.
Holy crap. All right, man. We'll check in again, dude. Thanks for the call. Maybe you are corn dog. Costco corn dog. I kind of like that now.
Costco corn dog.
Costco corn dog. You're getting a gloss. You're getting a gloss. All right, Con Dog. Thanks for the call. All right, let's get back to the chat. Get called by Connor. You guys can call as well. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want. Let's get back to some of these comments. Athena, what is up? What's up, Patrick? I know I said hi to you. Grant is hoping to get back on. We are efforting. Grant's having some issues with the internet. It's levels to this game. Pacers. The Papers. Who are the Papers playing? The Scissors? No. Is the Rock waiting in the Western Conference? The Papers? No, the Pacers. How about TJ McConnell? TJ McConnell, pretty damn good, especially for the number he's at. I think he's right around, 9 to 12 million. Not too bad. He's locked up for one more year. Kings have a trade exception. Thank you for that. You think Embiid leaves the Sixers? Well, here's the question. Does Embiid leave the Sixers or do the Sixers leave Embiid? Let me know. Trade exception doesn't create that much money to get one of those guys. Yeah, no, here is where the Kings right now are going to have to make their living. The mid-level exception. Right now projected to be about, I'm rounding up, $12.9 million. That's not bad. So they can do that. And then Bobby Marks, we've had this ongoing conversation about this year's draft pick. Can it be traded? Can it not be traded? Bobby Marks came on the radio and said it can be traded the day of the draft. So do the Kings have any flexibility there? We'll see. Bad news, Brown. You don't like me because I like the Dodgers. But no, okay, so I love Dodgers. Okay, look, I just said I love Dodgers, number one. Number two, that's what we do. I've got a Jim Rome background. You got to understand that, Dodger fan takes a little heat. It's Northern California. I have nothing against the Dodgers. I love that you are a loyal fan to somebody. And actually, one of my best friends, in fact, the one that is in that picture, his father played for the Dodgers. So I have connections there too. So I think it's really cool you guys have Ohtani. Embiid stays for now. They're going to get Paul George. I think. What's Paul George do? I mean, see, you're stacking up old pieces. That's where the NBA is going to change. We went through this 10-year period of super teams, maybe a little bit longer, okay? The NBA is shifting back now. Just as that was one extreme, they're shifting back to another extreme. They're saying, we don't want any more super teams. We want smaller markets to be more competitive, and we want to put a premium on internal player development. They want stories, y'all. They want Keon Ellis stories. They're out there. You just got to give guys a chance. So, yeah, we will see. I don't see teams. It's too rich for teams' bloods now with the new CBA. I mean, unless the Celtics are doing it right. So the Celtics have found a little loophole. And if you've got the right squad in the right window, it's all right to overpay for a season if you're winning a championship. But it's nothing that's going to work long terms. Bad news, Browns. Love it. PG-13 or Leonard Quay. That's my buddy from SDSU. Bad news, Brown was my favorite WWE wrestler. So you do get some wrestling in the King's Court. I'm not going to lie to you. In fact, Tony Khan, that guy just can't stay out of his own way. But bad news, Brown. Who's my favorite WWE wrestler? It's a good question. There's a few of them. Here's the easiest question. Especially if you're in my age group, were you a Hogan or an Ultimate Warrior fan? You couldn't be both. You were on one side. You had the wrestling buddy of Hogan, balding Hogan, brother, or you got the Ultimate Warrior. That makes no sense whatsoever. Let's see. We're getting more Costco love. The chicken bakes. Yes, indeed. Corn dog. That's going to be your new thing. Rock Dwayne Johnson in the NBA Finals. I sure as heck hope not. He bombed in his last run in WWE. Athena, I'd like to hear your opinion on the A's relocating. Sure. My opinion's different from this sense. I'm not an A's fan. I'm not even really that big of a baseball fan. If I had to lean one way or the other, it'd probably be the Giants. That being said, look, Sacramento has an intimate environment with Sutter Home Park. or Settle Health Park, excuse me. It's a comfortable environment. You're right there on the river, right? Or not too far from the river. I think it's great for Sacramento. Now, in terms of the finances, you might disagree with Sacramento doing this because you feel like you're getting in bed just for the quick buck by letting the A's come here because of the way that they run their franchise. And I think Sacramento, not a lot of people think this. I do. I think Sacramento is a baseball town. I think if there was a Major League Baseball team here, it would do really well in terms of attendance, especially during the summer. Now, fast forward to this. Look, it's going to be a fun 2 or 3 years, Athena. The problem is if you're an A's fan, right? You feel like Sacramento just crapped on you. I mean, think about if the Kings left Sacramento and then they were going to go to another city, but then that city wasn't quite ready for them. So, hey, you know what? Let's go back to Sacramento for 2 or 3 seasons. That's the ask right now of A's fans. Now, here's my biggest concern, okay? You're going to have great games that roll through Sacramento. Really great games. You're going to have the Yankees. You're going to have Boston. I mean, you can't, unless it's the preseason, spring training, you're not getting that close to the major league game in any other park unless it's an empty park because nobody's attending and they let you move down. Here's what I'm worried about for Sacramento fans. Pricing. What are the A's going to do with pricing? Now, I don't know if that is worked into the deal with the Oakland A's and the city of Sacramento, but my biggest concern, the biggest mistake the A's could make is trying to price out the locals from going to a baseball game, because I will turn this on I'll turn it on its head and I'll ask you, what's the number for all of you, whether you're an A's fan or not? What is the top, or what's the most you are willing to pay? Because really, there's not a bad seat in the park. What's the most you are willing to pay to be in the building for an A's game there? Let me know. Doesn't have to be a good game, but what is that number? Because they may indirectly shoot themselves in the foot there, and that needs to be carefully talked about between the city and the team. But it is a business. They got to make money. Jordan, what's up? You're a Kings fan, but family NFL team is the Rams since the 60s. Very cool. I'm a Kings fan, and our family NFL team is the Seattle Seahawks. So I can relate. Sacramento A's, they won't be called that, though. So it's a great question. It's a good comment. They're trademarking a couple different things. We'll see what they end up doing. Look, the A's put out renderings of a stadium that they got on the fly. They were like AI renderings, y'all. They are so unprepared for what's going on in Vegas, or at least leading up to the I believe it's the Tropicana that's closing, in the Tropicana or Treasure Island, Tropicana, I think. That hotel was closing for good for this construction. And you still did not have serious plans. You still have the city of Las Vegas saying, we don't want you. So, if you look at it this way, the A's could end up here. Theoretically, something could happen. I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll see. Knicks signed Hart with mid-level exception. Yeah, and then they bumped his was that the raise that he got, Patrick? Because you remember they gave him a raise. Ohtani is awesome. Ohtani is pretty special. That's what Morey does, Ryan. Yeah, that's exactly what he does. So what's realistic? Can the Kings get Ben Simmons or Mikal Bridges? Could they get them? Probably get Ben. I don't think either of them are realistic. Ben Simmons would have no value to this team. You can't. The style. So here's another question that not enough people are talking about, Dodgers, is look at the Kings last year. They were predominantly healthy. You had the Sabonis injury. You had Keegan, who was battling through a finger most of the season, but he had dealt with that back into college. But they didn't have any soft tissue injuries for the most part. They didn't really have any sprained ankles. So credit also to the Kings training staff, because it looked like they were clearly trained for a style of basketball, whether it was running, fast-paced. The training was spot on, right? And the Kings didn't get injured. Everything worked out. And I get a lot of other things need to fall into place in that equation as well. But then you look at the end of this season, okay? The Kings were forced into a style change, and their defense improved greatly. It really, really did. But they couldn't stay healthy. They couldn't play in a physical style of basketball. Malik Monk goes down. Trey Lyles goes down. De'Aaron Fox rolls an ankle. Sabonis rolls an ankle. I'm not going to group Sasha in because that was a little bit before. What I'm saying is I'm just going to flat out ask it. Can the personnel on this team as it sits today, and I asked Jerry Reynolds this on the Kings Court Tuesday, and he said no, and I think Grant thought the same thing. The personnel now is not set to play this physical brand of basketball. So Ben Simmons certainly will not fit that build as well. Bridges, debatable. I just don't see it with the money. Tony Khan is a disaster. Yes, I've had plenty for him. Apparently, his little wrestling promotion that he is just the wallet for, is more important than Jacksonville Jaguars. That's surprising. Hulkamania. Yeah, I was a warrior. Dave, can we unload Kevin Huerter with a $65 million contract? Who would pay for him? He's been injured. Dave, can you clarify, buddy? You're talking about what's left on his deal. It depends. A lot is going to depend on what the draft looks like, right? How that shakes out. And Summer League is also kind of a telltale. I don't think you're going to hear. So, the talks really start about whether or not you can do it. It's Summer League. That is when teams start talking. That's why I plan to be in Vegas and be a part of that. So I think that's a better question for another month or two. But I don't think the answer, if I had to answer now, is no, because they've tried now for a season. They tried all last season for the most part. Everyone I mean in my school and block loved Hulk. Yeah, Hulk. Good old Hulk Hogan. Dude, hey, great point. And great pasta of my domain. I love that handle. And yeah, the Macho Man. Yeah, he was pretty cool. How much for hot dogs and beers? Depends where you're going, Jordan. In Philly, sometimes they're $1, but they throw them on the field. So they don't get that anymore. Love me some Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth. Yeah, Miss Elizabeth was really classy. Reed hopping back in. Monty always talks about flexibility. What do you think about the Kings' flexibility moving forward this year from 1 to 10? If we're talking straight financials, with the guys that they have locked under contract right now and what they can do with them, and that's not taking into account the demand. I mean, you can try to trade any player you want, but it takes two. I would rate the Kings' flexibility right now at probably and we're not talking about the salary cap. We're talking about making transactions with the players on the roster. I would rate it at a 7. I think it's a 7. They have pieces. There's other teams in the NBA interested in pieces there. Now, would those pieces be traded? That's a whole different issue. But Monty's right. That is the one good thing that they have done the past 2 years. And a lot of people don't know there is a method to Monty's madness with some of these little moves. You might not think it's a big deal, but the move where they got Lopez, right? And then they waived him at the trade deadline. They got cash considerations for that. That cash consideration likely offset the raise Keon Ellis got to a full-time roster spot. So it's little moves like that. They've done a really, really good job. $75, $100. Okay. So the number that I've heard floated around, by the way, is $50. $50. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you're sitting. It's going to cost you at least $50 to get in the building. I don't know if I'm willing to pay that. We'll see. And again, those aren't confirmed reports. Who do you think is going to have a better series, OG or Siakam? I think OG. I do. Siakam, he's solid, but sometimes he blends in with that Pacers offense. Again, I think I said Evan Turner earlier. Miles Turner, thanks for correcting me. Miles Turner has kind of flipped it on its head for them. He's given them a little bit of a different dynamic this postseason. And the other thing here that you've got to look at, this is going to be what the series hinges on. Patrick's in here right now, so tell me if I'm wrong. The Knicks play, and I hit it on at the beginning of the show. The Knicks play a 7-man rotation. Okay, a 7-man rotation. The Pacers love to get out and run and get in transition. It's gonna be a much different series than what you saw against Philadelphia. So the question becomes, do the Knicks have the stamina, and can they stay out of foul trouble and hang with them? I still think OG, he brings the bigger problem, in my opinion. I know, Alberto. Grant's having some tech issues, so thank you for being here, holding it down. Hopefully he can hop back on. We'll see. Getting some predictions. You're saying Pacers in 7. All right. I'm going to say New York Knicks. I've got the Knicks in the NBA Finals this year. I'm not impressed with what the Celtics are doing right now. Let's see what happens next season. Brown got to show me something. I'm not impressed. Okay, what did he get to show you, Rich? I'm just curious. Charles Barkley had a great quote last night about the media. He had a quote about coaching superstars. Jerry Reynolds and I talked about that earlier this week. And I think in a lot of ways, it relates to this with Coach Brown as well. There's been so little reporting on what happened or what went on this season. But there's been these little nuggets that Mike Brown's thrown out there that have made us go, huh, really? Like, one, for instance, when we're getting ready to ramp up for the play-in, Coach Brown was asked about the offense and the lack of set plays. And guess what happens? He tells the media that last year he called a ton of set plays. In fact, he was almost exclusively calling plays. This year, he's letting the guys call them. So it doesn't take a genius to realize, you could see how there could be some internal conflict that could happen based off of that, right? If guys are getting iced out of the offense, if guys think that it should be ran a different way, that could be, imagine playing, all of you probably, if you played basketball, you've played with a ball hog at some point. You've played with that. Maybe it was your game at CalFit or your game at 24 Hour, and you needed 3 more to run with you, right? And it's you and your buddy, and you pick up 3 guys, and those guys are like the best of friends, and it becomes 3-on-5, and you and your friend are in the game, but you're not really in the game. You see how that could happen. So then you think back to the De'Aaron Fox period, where De'Aaron did not speak to the media for, I believe, 16 days. Granted, it was on a road trip, so a lot of the Sacramento contingency was not there, but that can't happen. And there really was no explanation about it. So I'm not ready to pass judgment on Mike Brown until I have more information about what happened. And it will come out. There's no doubt about that. Pacers gonna wear them Knicks down. That's the plan. If you're the Pacers, that is the game plan. The Knicks advancing in the playoffs is a relief for the NBA, especially considering that the marquee names are out already. And especially considering, not sure how many of you caught this, but in game 5, check this out. The 2-minute report said Maxey traveled on that 4-point play. Shouldn't have happened. Now, again, the refs, they have been questionable at best this season. But if you've listened to my content, you know my take on that. I don't solely put that on the referees. It's a lot more ambiguous than that. Yeah, Chuck's got the best quote. I'm not a role model. It's pretty damn good. Germ hopping in. How do you feel about the Kings promoting internally? Me personally, I feel like Brown could have got a better coach for the associate position, more veteran coach. I think internal promotion is really good. I also think that, these networks of coaches, you got to understand, a lot of guys get their breaks in the NBA from a guy like Mike Brown or a tenured coach, where they get that first taste of it. And maybe they come in and, it's a little rough on the edges, but just because they've not coached the NBA game before doesn't mean they can't coach basketball. So it's not necessarily about the best coach, it's the best fit. So I'm going to reserve my judgment until we see more. But Jordy, that's a big hit. No Jordy and him being in Brooklyn. I got the Celtics Nuggets. That's who I've got as well. Bad news. I like the way you think, buddy. Looking forward to Hall regaining his early season elite form, or Hallie, excuse me. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Hallie, he's a special player, but I'm just going to say it. That shot is always going to be a little bit of a liability for him. And I don't want him to change it, but it just, when the game's on the line, I don't know that that's the guy you want taking the three. I know the percentage is good, but even when you just think about quick releases, the release is not quick, which makes it a little bit easier to defend. Indy won't be a pushover. No, they will not. Had many easy baskets against the Knicks during some of the games this season, but we have Robinson. Yeah, Robinson and Hart. Dude, could you please pass Isaiah a note for me, Patrick? Tell him we really want him in Sacramento. He would be great in Sacramento. I said that before he's been showing out in this series. Hartenstein would be a perfect fit for this team. It is a bunch of crap. It's false accountability. If you want accountability, put the refs into a press conference. Have them available to the media. Why not? If there was a mistake, clean it up there. And especially, it's almost insulting that when you see a clear mistake, clear as day, and you know that you got to wait to see it in writing 2 days later or a day later to know it was formally a mistake. I don't like that. So I'm with you, my brother. Let's see. We'll say Knicks in 6 for now. Okay. Hey, the Garden's rocking right now. Bright lights of MSG going to shine on Tyrese. Can't wait. Yeah, this is, look, this is where stars are made. Hallie is now further than De'Aaron has ever been in the playoffs. So I'm not knocking De'Aaron for that whatsoever. Separate situations. But Hallie's getting his chance, and I hope he makes the most of it. And I hope you guys are hoping that as well. F hopping in. Hallie's playmaking ability to create for others is the point of emphasis, not the shooting form. You're right. Absolutely. That's absolutely it. It's my job, though, to point out the little things like that. He is a distributor. He could not be any different than some of the other guys that have been in Sacramento. My goodness, the Kings this season, yeah, you get Fox and Sabonis that lead the team with assists and whatnot, but the turnovers, they were both in the top 20 in the NBA in turnovers. And how about De'Aaron Fox? Check this out. He went from the inaugural clutch player of the year to being 4th in the NBA in missed field goals. That's pretty rough too. What that tells me is, yeah, maybe that 3-point shot, even though you get an extra point sometimes, maybe that hurts the team from Fox more than it helps the team, because it takes away the free throw attempts. It takes away the fouls, because many times you're not getting fouled from beyond the arc. And hell, De'Aaron Fox had trouble getting a whistle all year this year. So, yeah, Hallie and Foxy, good players, different players. Do you think Keegan needs to have like a Porter Jr. jumper or something in that nature? No, I just think Keegan, he's got the Domas problem to me. And Domas, excellent distributor, but he is not a quick decision maker. He always makes the right decision, just not very quickly, or not as quickly as maybe Mike Brown and some of the other coaches would like. So it's that moment of hesitation. And certainly as Domas, and he was open about it in his exit interview, he's got to work on the jump shot. This has to be the summer where that jump shot gets much better. And here's the other thing about that. You know, Luke Laux is really the shooting coach on the Sacramento Kings. That's the guy. That is the shooting specialist. Yet you got Doug Christie working with Domas with the individual drills. So I'm sure Luke is mixing in shooting with him, but I don't know if I want Doug Christie teaching Domas how to shoot a jump shot. And I don't mean that with any disrespect. Doug Christie is an NBA player. He is he's a hell of a shooter compared to any of us, but Shooting wasn't Doug's thing. It's the whole strength finders thing, knowing your strengths. I want to see Luke get with Domas this summer, but that jump shot, it has got to change. Yes, he will, Patrick. He's going to be getting paid more than he's paid this year. Patrick, I think his number's right around 9. It's either 9 or 12. Rich hopping back in. Mavs will win the finals. Luka and Kyrie. Interesting. Fox and Sabonis need to take notes on how it should be done. It's no, Rich. They don't. Yes, if you're talking about winning, maybe, but not the style of play. I mean, it's completely opposite, backwards of what they want to do. Mavs, yes, they do. The Mavs have they got better at the trade deadline, significantly better. Mavs have other good players. 2 Kings don't. Yeah, the Kings got to shore it up there. There is no doubt about that. Hey, thank you so much for being here on our Open Forum Thursday. I am so sorry that Grant was having the tech issues. I promise we will make that show up to you. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, once we get it worked out. I will definitely be back tomorrow, 2 o'clock, the Kings Court, right here on If You Don't Like That. We talk Kings. We talk everything, kind of like tonight. It's a fun show. We've got some segments we do. We mix in some sound drops. So give it a try. You will very much like it. The reaction's been good so far. And if you don't, let me know too. One place I can promise you will love, that is Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. That is just one of their locations. They have 3 in the area. Bennett's West Side Grill. Remember last season, if you've been with us that long, that was the newest one they were working on. And they've got all the great same Bennett's, all the awesome choices, whether it's the New York prime steak, the redfish, the chopped salad. Oh, the chopped salad's to die for. And the mushroom soup. Oh, I haven't even hit brunch yet. 2 entrees, bottle of champagne, $44. Go to bennettsrestaurants.com. You can check out the menus. You can also look at their other specials, happy hour. They've got a dine on Monday deal, dine and something else. But I don't remember the name of it because that's not necessarily what's important. Here's what you need to know about the Monday special. 2 entrees and a bottle of wine Monday night, $65. So go to bennettsrestaurants.com, learn more about the locations. You can make reservations. Also, get gift cards and much more. That is Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. Huge thanks to them for sponsoring. If you don't like that, we are going to call it a night. Thank you so much for being here. The Knicks move on to the next series. It'll be the Knicks and the Pacers in the second round. That is going to be a series to watch. You've got Dallas and the Clippers. They're going to be coming up. How about the Clip Show? Can you believe they laid an egg like that? That was hard to believe. Dallas should close this one out at home. We will see tomorrow. But nonetheless, plenty going on in the sports world. Thank you so much for being here tonight. For Grant, because I know he wasn't able to make it as long as we wanted it to. I'm Ryan in Sacktown. Thank you so much. Go Kings. Light the beam. Have a great night, everyone.